What is a vignette? A vignette is a short, detailed description of an event. It is like a word picture that only talks about a moment in time. It is descriptive because it uses a lot of figurative and sensory language. One of the most difficult moments of my life was when my father died. There are several moments that stand out for me from this time. One moment was at his funeral when I noticed how many of my friends showed up to support our family, even people from school. I was in college. They were not close friends, just classmates. Another moment was when it was my turn to speak, how that felt, what I saw in the crowd, what I wanted to say. Our goal today is to create a vignette that focuses on characters. So I would pick the first of those two moments because it's mostly about the people who were there. So step one, pick your moment. Open the Google document that you've been creating during our writing time this week, or take out the paper notes you've been keeping. Look back at everything you have written. Pick a moment from your difficult time that allows you to talk about the people who were a part of it. Mine would go something like this. Standing in front of my father's casket, I glanced up at the long line of friends and family forming at the door. It stretched outside into the sunlight. I realized that line was filled with people that touched every point in my life. Childhood friends I had not seen in a decade, high school teachers who lived on my street, and college classmates who I was just getting to know. One classmate stood out in particular. Her name was Keeley. We had not met more than 2 or 3 times. She was a tall, beautiful girl whose kind face mirrored a kinder soul. I didn't know it at the time, but Keeley had lost her father little more than a year before. She knew my pain, so she came, even though we were mere acquaintances. I stood strong on the power of the love I felt in that moment. Now, pause the PowerPoint, choose your moment, and write your first paragraph. Let's continue. Step 2, we want to create exposition. Remember, exposition is the background to the characters and setting that make you understand my story. What do you have to know about me to understand this moment from my perspective? For me, you would need to know about my relationship with my dad, kind of like Esperanza and her father. Mine would go something like this. My father was by no means a perfect man. He struggled with depression and suicide. There were moments in high school when my sister and I would tiptoe into our house before my mom got home, afraid of what we might find. But the thing that kept my dad alive, even in his darkest moments, was his love for us. We knew that. We knew it when we packed up our little secondhand camper on weekends so we could head into the woods to hike and share stories around the campfire. We knew it when he came to every high school football game just to watch his daughters march in the band. We knew it when he spent the little money he made buying us fresh flower corsages for special events. My father loved me more than he loved himself, and I loved him back. So, step 2, add your exposition. Now, pause the PowerPoint again. What is the background we need to know to understand the moment you are sharing? Write your second paragraph that creates the background we need to know. Let's continue. Step 3, last step. We need to connect our paragraphs. Connecting paragraphs is simply creating a sentence that leads from the thought in one paragraph to the thought in the next. Each paragraph you write should start with a connecting sentence, a transition from the paragraph in front of it. Many times, the best way to do this is to create a compound or complex sentence that shows how the paragraphs connect. Remember, compound is fanboys and complex is a woobus. So let's continue. Here's how mine would work. I think my exposition paragraph, the second one I wrote, should go first in my vignette because it explains what you need to know. So I need to connect my father's love for me to that moment in the coffin. So I stop and think, what is the connection between these two paragraphs? Well, both paragraphs talk about love. Here's how mine would look. So what is a compound sentence with a fanboy or a complex sentence with an awubus that could connect those two thoughts? Here's my connecting sentence. When my father died, I wondered how I would survive without his supporting love, until I realized I was loved by others. Notice my awubus? Until. I would add this sentence to my second paragraph before I talk about standing in front of my father's coffin, and I have connected my two thoughts. So step 3, add your connection transition sentence. Pause the PowerPoint for a final time. Which paragraph goes first in your vignette? How can you connect them? Add a connection sentence as the first sentence in your second paragraph. Congratulations, it's time to move on your Google document to step 3, revising your paragraph.